This week it's time for another trip into Cybertron's distant past for a look at the story of one of the robots who carried the matrix of leadership before Optimus Prime. These are the basics on Nova Prime. Nova Prime was an original character created by writer Simon Furman and artist Dawn Figueroa for IDW Publishing's Transformers comic books. First appearing in 2007, Nova transformed into a Cybertronian truck and was the ruler of Cybertron during its golden age, long before the Transformer race ever split into Autobots and Decepticons and went to war. But unlike his present-day successor Optimus Prime, Nova wasn't a noble leader. He believed Transformers were superior to all other forms of life, and that it was their destiny to conquer the universe. Nova was born during Cybertron's barbarous prehistory, when the planet was ruled by the original 13 Primes. When the Primes disappeared, leaving their followers to fight amongst themselves, it was Nova, then known as Nova Major, who brought peace to the planet, uniting the populace to found a prosperous new Cybertronian society. Taking up the matrix of leadership, Nova granted himself the title of Prime. But he wasn't content with bringing order to his homeworld, and soon set his sights on subjugating other planets. As he plotted, Nova Prime felt a strange psychic pull, drawing him towards some mysterious source of power out in space. And, leaving the Matrix behind, he and his closest followers set off aboard the great spaceship, the Ark, to locate it. Their journey led them through a wormhole to a parallel dimension, a strange, dead universe where no life existed, which transformed them into undead beings. Here, Nova found the power that had called to him, an evil counterpart of the Matrix called the Darkness, which he took into his body, inverting his colors and renaming himself Nemesis Prime. Trapped in the dead universe for 6 million years, Nemesis Prime eventually returned in the present day, with a plan to expand the dead universe and have it consume the living one, creating a united reality that the Darkness would give him the power to rule. However, Nemesis feared that the Darkness would instinctively seek to move along the line of Matrix bearers, from himself to the talisman's current holder, Optimus Prime, so he set out to eliminate Optimus to prevent this from happening. During the battle, Nemesis was betrayed by one of his own followers, Galvatron, who shot him and took the Darkness for himself. Nemesis Prime was believed destroyed, but a few years later, it was revealed that his undead essence still lived within the dead universe. It turned out that, all along, he had been secretly manipulated by the true master of the dead universe, an ancient eldritch horror known as the D-Void, which now possessed Nemesis's body as part of a plan to trick Galvatron into helping it in its continued attempts to consume the living universe. Ultimately, the D-Void was destroyed by Optimus Prime with the power of the Matrix, which in turn freed Nemesis Prime from its influence, reverting him to Nova Prime once more. But Nova's desire for conquest remained unchanged, and with the dead universe itself now dying around him, he made one final attempt to escape in the 2013 crossover event, Dark Cybertron. Again, Optimus Prime stood in his way, and, determined to reclaim the Prime name for goodness and decency, the Autobot leader finally succeeded in defeating and destroying Nova Prime once and for all. Before Nova Prime was introduced in 2007, the lineage of Primes hadn't been explored very deeply by Transformers lore, with not much more than a flashback montage in the original cartoon, and a list of names in the Marvel comic book written by Furman himself, offering any insight into the history and identities of the robots who had carried the Matrix before Optimus Prime. Significantly though, the Marvel list named one of these past Primes Prime Nova, There can be little doubt that Furman was referencing this name when he created Nova Prime for IDW, and some subsequent media has retroactively treated them as being the same character. Nova's introduction opened the way to a deeper exploration of the Prime line. Crucially, he was the first of Optimus's predecessors to be depicted as corrupt, an idea that went on to influence many future stories, not just from IDW, but all across Transformers media, to the point that, in the last decade, most past Primes have come to be characterized the same way, as amoral leaders abusing their power. Nova himself, meanwhile, went on to appear in a selection of other media outside IDW's comics, most notably the 2015 video game Transformers Devastation. In this similar but different version of his story, Nova was a benevolent ruler who left Cybertron on the ship Proudstar to establish colonies on uninhabited worlds, as a way to preserve the culture of Cybertron forever. But an encounter with the Dark God, Unicron, tainted him with evil, and he instead began conquering and cyberforming inhabited worlds. To stop him, one of his crew, Kranix, crashed the Proudstar on Earth, seemingly killing all aboard. The Proudstar was unearthed by the Decepticons in the present day, and though their attempt to use its technology to cyberform Earth was foiled by the Autobots, a post-credits scene revealed that Nova Prime still lived, as he awoke in a stasis chamber in the ship's depths. Sadly, to date, the game hasn't received a sequel, so this story has never been continued. 2015 also saw the release of the first toy of Nova Prime, a retool and recolor of the Transformers Generations Orion Pax figure, offered exclusively through the Transformers Collectors Club. The release of the figure led to Nova Prime appearing in the club's Shattered Glass comic, but in this story, set in a mirror universe of evil Autobots and heroic Decepticons, Nova Prime was a very different character, not Optimus Prime's predecessor, but the upgraded form of Optimus himself. Mirroring the events of The Transformers the movie, the evil Optimus was badly wounded in battle and jettisoned into space by his treacherous lieutenant, Rodimus. There, he was found by Unicron, who in this universe was a force of peace and order. Unicron used his powers to reformat Optimus into Nova Prime, purifying his evil mind and turning him into a warrior for good, who helped save the universe from Unicron's evil brother, Primus. Everyone knows the old saying about how power corrupts, and Nova Prime is proof of how the power of a Prime can corrupt absolutely. A dark reminder for Optimus Prime of the burden of his title, and his responsibility to do all that he can to ensure that the Prime name will go down in history standing for his goodness and heroism instead of Nova's evil. And those are the basics on Nova Prime. If you've enjoyed this look at Transformers history and lore, subscribe and check out over 200 more videos like it. Plus, if you support the show on Patreon, you'll get early access to new episodes.